I've said before, don't tell me what you believe, show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe.
The James Talarico interview dropped less than 72 hours ago. And between the 5 videos released on YouTube from that episode, they total over 14 million views. Unfortunately, the Jennifer Garner interview has not surpassed 500,000 on YouTube, but that is about the average view count for The Late Show. This just shows how much the people have stood up to censorship. But what exactly are they trying to censor? What do they not want us to see?
The right attempts to co-opt Christianity. I think that Donald Trump might have said something like that at the National Prayer Breakfast, like you can't actually be a Christian and be a Democrat. But the religious right is largely a political movement.
Well, for 50 years, the religious right, a political movement, that is the perfect description for it. They convinced a lot of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. 2 issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, 2 issues that Jesus never talked about. Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers, how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting Republican. It was all about how you treat other people.
And that is exactly what they are afraid of. James Talarico is a true Christian. They are afraid his philosophy will spread to other Christians. For instance, if you actually follow the Bible, you know what Trump is doing with ICE is not compatible with the teachings of Jesus. In Matthew 25, when being judged before the gates of heaven, Jesus will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me." They will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick, or in prison, and did not help you?" Jesus will reply, "I tell you the truth. Whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me." Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous will go to eternal life. There, that is the Christian faith, and a summary of the teachings of Jesus.
Jesus gave us 2 commandments, love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. Love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation or immigration status or religious affiliation. And it's why I have fought so hard for the separation of church and state in the state capitol in Texas.
As a state rep, you fought against a bill requiring the 10 Commandments to be displayed in schools.
That's right.
Why, even on that level, do you think it's important to keep the separation, not just for the state, but for the church?
Well, because we are called to love all of our neighbors, and forcing our religion down their throats is not love. It's why I fought so hard for that sacred separation in our First Amendment, because my granddad, he raised me to believe that that boundary between church and state doesn't just benefit the state or our democracy, although it certainly does, but it also benefits the church. Because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice, its ability to speak truth to power, its ability to imagine a completely different world. And so this separation between church and state is something we have to safeguard. It's something we have to fight for.
That is what Donald Trump and his Christian nationalist friends are afraid of. That Christians will wake up to the teachings of Jesus and realize that the Trump administration does not have Christian values, allowing millions of people to starve around the world after cutting USAID, or double-tapping boats in the Caribbean or Pacific, or deploying federal troops to care for strangers. True followers of Jesus do not follow Donald Trump. True followers of Jesus are not Christian nationalists.
There is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. It is the worship of power in the name of Christ. And it is a betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth.
These are the words Donald Trump did not want spoken publicly.
But I will agree with you on this. How must it diminish God to be associated with something so small as a present political party?
That's right.
Because imagine that you managed to co-opt Christianity. Imagine if you managed to convince everybody that Jesus was on your side. If you then lose the election, sounds like you've got a pretty weak Jesus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the key, is you don't want to fit the big thing into the small thing. And God is the biggest thing there is. And so to try to fit God into a political party, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, you've got it reversed. We have to remember to put those big things first, to put the love of God and the love for our neighbors before anything else. Because right now, what you've got is people baptizing their partisanship and calling that Christianity, when in reality, your politics should grow out of your faith, not the other way around.
Christian nationalists just use Christianity as a prop, using hot-button issues to distract voters away from the real issues, hijacking their faith as a political tool to gain votes, while being most unchristian-like in practice. Trump and his political machine are scared to death Christian nationalists wake up to the teachings of Jesus.